Okay, in this tutorial, I'm going to give you some top tips and advice on how to prepare yourself for the mini population assessment that you will have coming soon. And it is based on the lessons in geography that you've recently studied. And therefore, that is where you're going to want to go to review and look over the work we've done in class. So what sort of questions are you going to see? Well, before we get to that, let's just have a little look at my revision advice, okay? The first thing is, if we look here, you're not actually going to get a mark or a score out of 20 or 30 or a percent or anything like that. Actually, if you look at this next bullet point, you will see that you are going to be judged on how well you show that you understand the ideas that we have covered in class. So it's the quality of your answer is important, and it's not given a mark out of something, but it's given a judgment based on how good it is. So it'll be given a level. Finally, by listening to this video, I'm going to go through the 4 questions that we're going to be assessing you on and give you some advice about how you can approach it. So what I suggest you do is, after each one, you might want to pause the video, maybe look up your class assignments that we've covered in class, have a look at what we did in class and how did we approach it, what advice did I give you, how did you answer those questions, as well as listening to the advice I give you now. So the first question is going to show you a graph, and it will be a graph that shows you the population of the planet and how it has changed over time. Now, you are not going to be asked to give reasons for why the graph has changed. You're just going to be asked to describe those changes. So the way you do it is, when you look at any graph, and this one will be a line graph, you have to tell me whether it is, first of all, increasing or decreasing. You want to tell me by how much it is increasing or decreasing. So what did it start as, what's the amount, and how did it end? You also want to see if there was any particular dates where something changed. So did it increase really fast for the first 100 years and then reach a certain level, like 2 billion, and then did it slow down for the next 500 years and then to maybe 3 billion, and then it sped up again. So if the line changes, if the gradient or the steepness of the line varies, you want to spot the dates when that happened, identify those dates, and give some amounts to show how much did it get to and then what did it do next. So what's important in your answer is that some dates are used and some amounts are given of change. Now, we're talking about the world population over time. So we currently are almost at 8 billion. So we're looking at change from very small amounts of people back in early times to large amounts today. But what you're going to have to do is use the graph to describe those changes and give amounts. So that's number 1. You might go into your class notes and now have a look at how we approach that. Let's have a look at number 2. Now, number 2 is not going to be a graph this time. Number 2 is going to be a map. And it will be a map that shows you the varying population densities. So it's going to show you where there are lots of people and where there are very few people. Okay? And you are going to have to describe the pattern. Now, once again, that word says describe. That word does not say explain. So you are not being asked to give reasons for why lots of people live in some places of the planet and not others. You just have to say where they are. So once again, you need to read from the map. Where are areas with large numbers of people? Now, if you have a key that shows you how many people are living in certain areas, you should use that key. So if the area says over 1,000 people per kilometer squared, that's the way we measure population density, then you would want to say that and then identify those areas. And you don't want to talk about the east of the map or the top of the map or the bottom or the left or the right. You actually want to say where, which continent, where in those continents. So don't just name the whole continent, because there is no whole continent that has the same number of people, because within continents there'll be different numbers of people living in different areas. So if it's coastal, or is it inland, or is it in the center of the continent, is it in the northern region, the southern region? Can you identify countries? Are you able to name certain countries that you know are found in those places, and you can use them to show that you know where people on lots of people on the planet live and very few? Okay, so once again, have a look at your assignment and that we did when we covered this in class, and see how we approached answering that question. Right, the third question is a straightforward knowledge question. Can you define these 4 words? Do you actually know what they mean? The proper definition. So birth rates does not just mean the number of babies born. It actually means it's a rate, so it's a certain number over a certain period of time. Okay. Life expectancy is similar. It's got a specific definition, as does the fertility rate. That's also got something to do with babies being born, but it's a specific way of measuring the number of babies born. So I suggest you learn the definition that goes with those so you can define those 4 key terms. Finally, this is where we are being asked to explain. You're being asked to give some reasons. Now, in this question, you will be given a table of data that compares 2 different countries. One of those countries is what we might call a developed country, a wealthy nation, and one of those countries is a less developed country, okay, or a poorer nation. What you need to do is using the information in your answer and actually referring to the data in the table, you must give reasons for why there are differences between the 2 countries you have been given. Now, you'll have done a similar activity in class, and you should use that approach to offer some reasons, and you should explain those reasons. So, for example, if a country is having more babies, don't just say it's because they farm. That is just describing people in a poorer country do farm more often than not, or more like to farm. But why does the fact that more people farm in poorer countries mean they have more children? So you need to explain, give a full reason. Okay, hopefully you've listened to the 4 questions and my advice, and you're now going to have a look at your assignments, do a little bit of revision on the key stuff, and you're ready to give a really good answers to these 4 questions.